Hi everyone, it's Jason. Today I'm going to read Chapter 9 from Floki's Army. Chapter 9, The Purcells. Jason and Paula Purcell lived on the north side of Chicago. They lived happily with their pride and joy, Hannah. Hannah was a Shih Tzu they adopted from Paws, Chicago, about 8 years earlier. She was found on the street in Chicago, sick and alone. Paws took her in and brought her back to health and found her a loving home. 4 months later, that loving home brought her back to Paws, claiming, "This dog is defective." Apparently they left her alone every day for 10 hours or so. She probably peed on their carpet. It's sad that this happened, but it was the best thing that could ever happen for Paula, Jason, and Hannah. Hannah was a true delight. The Purcells noticed nothing about her they didn't like. She was only a year and a half old, but she had a calm nature about her. The only thing they noticed was that when they left her at the groomer's, she wasn't the same for at least the rest of the day. She would be distant and even wouldn't sit in the front seat on the way home. The groomers would typically keep her for between 4 and 6 hours. They were so busy that you couldn't make an appointment. You just dropped your dog off and waited for them to call. If you wanted to keep a Shih Tzu trimmed, you need grooming for every 4 to 6 weeks. After the second groom, the Purcells theorized that after being dumped twice in the past, Hannah didn't like the idea of once again being handed off to strangers. They decided to find a place that they could make an appointment and would let them stay while the groom was taking place. Well, that was nearly impossible. No groomer would allow you to stay while your dog was being groomed. Finally, Jason found a place near where he worked. It was one of those big chain pet supply stores. They would allow him to schedule an appointment and agreed to let him stay unless it caused Hannah to misbehave during the groom. The groom would cost an additional $10. Jason agreed to their terms and began to use them for quite a while. Even though the people that groomed Hannah had good intentions, some of the things that were done and how they were done were quite unpleasant. When Jason's work schedule changed, he needed to find a new place to take Hannah. As it turned out, the only other place that would allow Jason to stay was another one of those big chain pet supply stores. What Jason witnessed being done to the dogs there was horrendous. He scheduled and paid extra for an in and out appointment, yet when they brought Hannah in the back to be bathed, she didn't come back out. It had now been 45 minutes. Jason stood at the front desk and asked, "Where's my dog?" One of the groomers, a man, started getting a little mouthy. He had no idea that Hannah's groom was to be an in and out and never to be put in a crate. "Get my dog now, or I will get her," said Jason. He tried to control his emotions because there were other customers there. He didn't want to ruin the experience for the other customers, but he also wished he could make them aware of what he was seeing. He wanted so badly to point out that Chow Chow that had been standing alone on a grooming table the entire time he had been there. One of the groomers shaved this dog down almost to its skin, destroying its undercoat and putting its health at risk. Apparently they didn't know what to do about it and were afraid to call the owners. Hannah was finally brought out to the front desk, and Jason took her home, never to return. When Jason and Hannah came home, Paula was still there. She worked as a restaurant manager and went into work later in the day. After telling Paula about the day's adventure, he asked if she thought he should learn to groom Hannah himself. Paula thought it was a good idea. They both knew that some things were best left not to others. Jason then started looking for grooming schools. Not only did Jason go to grooming school, he became a certified dog sitter walker, took a level 1 course in canine massage. As a part-time job, Jason picked up a few dog walking clients. He enjoyed it, but was mostly interested in learning all that he could about dogs. Hands-on experience combined with education would be a way for him to learn quickly. Observing dog behavior was key for him. Once he had a basic understanding, he realized that dogs would teach you what they needed you to know. While walking Hannah and and client dogs in the busy Chicago neighborhood, Jason learned a valuable lesson. Quite often when approaching another dog, the owner would say, "Oh, my dog is friendly," and then the dog would try to attack. People wanted to think the best of their dogs, but their denial was actually dangerous. Jason learned that your dog will tell you what the other dog's intentions are, if only you pay attention. Of course, your dog understands other dogs much better than we ever will. It will also tell you what it needs, if you pay close enough attention. By trade, Jason was a personal trainer. He spent a lot of time educating himself about exercise and nutrition. Paula took an interest, but became more interested in alternative medicine, energy healing, and other natural approaches to well-being. Because of their knowledge in this area, they decided to take the same approach with Hannah's diet and medical care. It only made sense to them. Not having any children allowed Jason and Paula to spend more time with Hannah and more time researching the best ways to care for her. A lot of traditional approaches not only seemed unnecessary, but in a lot of cases seemed harmful. Jason usually had the task of taking Hannah to the vet because Paula worked longer hours than him. On a personal level, Jason and Hannah liked their vet, but unfortunately she must have been compelled by her employer to sell. On their last visit, Jason asked her to look at Hannah's teeth. Shih Tzus often have trouble with them because of their short snout and overcrowding of teeth. The vet said that her teeth looked fine. At the end of the exam, the vet summarized what she had noticed. Everything looked good, but she thought Hannah should get her teeth cleaned. "You just told me at the beginning of the exam that her teeth were good," questioned Jason. After a brief hesitation, the vet replied, "Well, she's of that age." That would be like saying Jason should have open heart surgery because he was of that age. It was time to find a new vet. Jason and Paula decided to see if there were any vets that practiced alternative medicine. They also decided that they will not leave the decisions up to the vet. They were willing to listen and then make their own decisions based on their research and what they knew about their dog. The next vet visit was to a place named Royal Treatment Veterinary Center. Royal Treatment Center was owned and founded by Dr. Barbara Royal. She had written a book and ran her career based on one underlying philosophy: feed your dogs a raw diet. Feeding your dogs what they were meant to eat would not only keep them healthier, but would cure many of their current ailments. This philosophy made sense to Jason and Paula, so they started the new diet right away. The transition was a little difficult, especially because Shih Tzus are notoriously finicky eaters. It would be worth the struggle because they wanted Hannah to be with them as long as possible. Hannah's daily activities were kept on a pretty regular basis: walk time, eating time, etc. They found that Hannah did well with routine and even expected things to happen when they were supposed to. This gave Hannah confidence that everything was normal and predictable. She also knew that nothing bad would ever happen to her as long as her mommy and daddy were around. They had proven that to her on numerous occasions. Her confidence allowed her to maintain a calm, pleasant disposition. Even though she was a little snobby, people and other dogs seemed to like her. Every day in the early evening, just before dinner time, Jason would take Hannah out for a walk, or as she got older, just a quickie. That meant they saw some of the same people a couple of times a week. One of these people was a young high school boy named Royo, who stopped by always to say hello to Hannah. The more he stopped, the more Jason told him about her and the Shih Tzu breed. The more Royo learned, the more he fell in love with Hannah. One day he told Jason that he was going to try to talk his mother into getting a Shih Tzu. Of course, Jason thought it was a wonderful idea, but wondered if it would ever happen, because Royo was enrolled in ROTC and would be leaving home in just a couple of years. Even though he did not know the family or their circumstances, Jason decided that no harm would come from looking online and Googling Rescue Shih Tzus Chicago. End of chapter 9. Thank you.